Welcome to the Connect Your Health to Life coaching podcast. I'm your host, Seth Lusk. I'm a master certified self-image coach and empowered health coach with a decade-long background working in the health and wellness industry. If you're anything like me or the clients that I work with, then you're probably struggling with body image, self-image, or confidence issues. You're probably also trying to figure out why it is that you have these amazing desires for living your healthiest and most fulfilling life, but you can't seem to create consistent actions in your life to reflect those desires. So join me as we dive in deep on what it means to live a fulfilled and authentic life. We're going to look from the perspective of an empowered mindset and uncover reasons why you might be what's holding yourself back from living your most fulfilling life. I'm going to break through some of the biggest illusions and myths that we've all been taught to believe along the way. And I'm so excited to have you with me on this journey. So my only question for you is, are you ready to start living your most authentic and fulfilling life once and for all? Then let's get started, shall we? Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. For those of you listening in for the first time, welcome. You picked, I'm going to say it again, an interesting episode to join in on because this is the last episode for 2021 before we enter into the year of 2022. And I've decided to choose a topic that is very on point for this time of year for you all because I wanted to help you out. So, this week we're talking about changing. I know at this time of year, everyone is kind of looking back on the year that we're finishing out, it's ending. There's a lot of reflection on what did I do in the previous year or the year that's ending, and what do I want to do in the coming year? And what this brings along with it for a lot of people is that the new year begins this process of wanting to change something. Some people, they'll look back on their previous year and they feel fulfilled and they feel motivated by the things that they showed themselves that they're capable of accomplishing. And they want to do even more in the coming year. And they want to see what things they can change about their life even more in the next year because they see what they're capable of. Some people, they look back and they see goals that they had set for themselves and that they let just slip by without taking any action on. And so they look at 2022 as being, okay, this year, I'm going to take action. Some people, they may look back and see that they didn't set any goals for themselves and that they just basically sat in inaction and sort of stagnated for this year. And they look at the next year as being the time that they want to create some goals for themselves and do something, change something in the way that they're showing up in their life and about their life. So yes, it's the end of the year. And as people take stock of the previous year, we feel that pull, we feel that nudge to grow, to change something about the way we are showing up and living our life. Some people may want to make changes to their career. Some people are going to want to make changes to relationships, whether that means leaving a relationship or committing to a relationship or changing the dynamics of a relationship. And I'm talking about friendships, family relationships, work relationships, and romantic ones. And this is a huge area where I see a lot of people wanting to make changes in their life. I see people wanting to make changes in how they care for their body, either through intentional movement like exercise or the food that they eat, or they may be wanting to let go of some addictive pattern surrounding food or alcohol or other substances. I also see people wanting to change how they care for their body by developing coping skills when it comes to how they handle stress, and they want to do it more productively. I see people wanting to commit to healthier sleeping patterns. There are so many ways that people can approach their physical health, and this includes changing patterns in their emotional and mental health. A lot of people start the year off with weight loss goals. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the episode because I think for a lot of people that have weight loss goals, when they start looking at weight loss goals, they're looking at their body and they're looking at it with a lot of disgust, a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, and wanting to start their change there. And we're going to talk about why this is something important to pay attention to. But before we get there, I also see some people choosing the beginning of the year with the determination of changing their mindset so that they can accomplish the things that they wish to accomplish in their life. And some of you out there are looking at these people that are wanting to start by changing their mindset and being like, I don't want to be that person. I need to hurry up and make some changes. And today we're going to talk about why these people that you see wanting to start their year by looking at their mindset may be the path that you're wanting to take to, and we're going to talk about why. So today, as we approach the beginning of a new year, it tends to be a time, like I said, of reflection, a time of renewing, a time of renewing our commitment to make changes in our life. And as a life coach, I work with people regularly on how to make changes in their life in a way that is authentic for them, fulfilling for them, but also is real, lifelong, and intentional. And because I work with people regularly on these kinds of changes, I see a lot of patterns surrounding how people go about making changes in their life when they're uncoached. If they're just left to their own devices. I see a lot of these patterns. And as a result of that, I've come to see some really common patterns that do not serve people at all in making authentic, real, fulfilling, lifelong, intentional changes in their life. So, I want to take today, as we move into the year 2022, and we move out of 2021, I want to talk with you all about some of these non-serving patterns that I've noticed, in hopes of it helping some of you all as we move into 2022. That you will move into 2022 with an empowered sense of being able to create authentic, true, fulfilling, intentional, lifelong change. Okay? And I want you to feel empowered to be able to move into creating the life that you want to be living. So let's discuss some of these behavior patterns, or these patterns that I've seen in people going about creating changes on their own. And I want to talk about how you can kind of recognize them in their life, why they don't serve you, and what we want to be doing instead. Okay? So the first two patterns are very closely related. So I'm kind of bunching these two together. And these patterns are very similar because they begin in our most formative years, when we are absorbing information about the world in massive quantities and deciding for ourselves without even realizing it usually, because we're not taught that we actually decide this. We're taught that we have to listen to adults as a kid, and what they say is true. They know more than us. We're just the kid. And we kind of get taught to stifle our curiosity and just listen and obey. So a lot of us don't even know that in those formative years, we're actually creating for ourselves a model of the world that we will show up with in our adult lives as being how we see the world, how we see our ability to create change in it. And this fact that most of us have grown up with that way of looking at the world, as seeing adults as being the ones that were right as kids, and we just had to listen to them, and so we just absorbed all of these thoughts and beliefs from them as kids, as being facts about the world that we have to believe, that we have to respect, that we don't question. It creates the first two patterns that I notice in people wanting to create change that do not serve them in creating changes. So you might be asking, what in the world does this have to do with creating goals for ourselves right now as an adult? Well, like I said, this creates two different destructive patterns when it comes to creating change. When we just, as kids, because we don't know any better, really, we don't, when we just believe these adults around us that tell us, okay, no, we're the ones that are right, we know more than you, you just listen to us, you don't ask questions, you obey. So the first pattern that this creates is this pattern to allow comparison to others or old beliefs that are not authentic to you to influence what goals you set for yourself. So if you go about setting goals for yourself and you notice language like, I should do this, I shouldn't do that, or I have to do this, then I just want to say this is a massive red flag that you have fallen into this pattern. Using this language when you're wanting to create change is a sure sign that you have listened or are listening to someone else's opinion without knowing your own authentic opinion, wants, mission, and purpose in this life. And that right now you're making decisions about what to change, not based on what you want, but based on other people's opinions. And I want to be clear about this here. This does not mean that we cannot choose to want to believe a belief that our parents suggested to us. That's not what I'm saying here. But here is the big difference there. Notice how I use the word suggested. We take a lot of the beliefs that our parents, our teachers, our grandparents, pastors, whoever suggested to us, and we take it as we have to believe that, or we should believe that. We don't take it as a suggestion, we take it as a rule in life, as something that we need to or have to respect. And what I'm here to offer you is that anything that any adult ever told you as a kid is merely a suggestion of what you can choose to believe about life. And this is what I want you to do here. I'm not telling you you have to throw out everything your parents ever taught you, or anything that your pastor or teachers or any adult when you were a kid ever said to you. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is to look at it now through the lens of, I have power to choose here if that is something I want to believe about life, or if it is something I want to question and see if I can find another belief that feels more true for me. Because you have the power to do that. And I see so many people feeling trapped into thoughts and beliefs that they feel like they have to keep because of something that a parent, a grandparent, or someone important to them when they were a kid told them. And they're not choosing to see their power in choosing that belief. And here's the thing. Like I said, it's not about needing to change the belief. I even want you to, if that's the belief you want to have, I want you to choose that. I want you to say, my parents suggested this to me at a young age, and now as an adult, with the way I want to see the world that feels true for me, I want to choose that belief as being true for me. Not, I should believe that, or I shouldn't do this, or I have to believe this. I want you to empower yourself by using language of, this is what I want to believe out of life. And if you can't say that I want to believe this about life, then guess what? That is not an authentic belief for you. And you will want to explore what it is that you want to believe about life in that area. So you may be wondering why this is so important when it comes to choosing goals that are authentic for you. And this is because when you see a world full of people chasing after the same goals and getting praised for achieving varying levels of success in those pursuits, and you see, when you were a kid, you see adults telling you these are the things that are important to go after in life. These are the things that you'll get rewards for. These are the things that you should want. Then you will go, if you do not do this with intention, you will be going after goals that are not authentic for you. And the reason why choosing goals that are authentic for you is so important is because it's all about fulfillment. The truth is that people who chase after goals that are not their own, even if it might be a true goal of their own, but they're choosing to use should and have to or should not language, and they're disempowering themselves in that pursuit of that goal and not seeing why that goal is important for them, then what I want to say is people going after goals in this way, they're not aligning their goals with their values and their sensitivities in life. And when you are not aligning your goals with these things, any change that you produce will not feel true, it will not feel fulfilling, and it will not be a lifelong intentional change. It will be driven by energy of not enoughness, of resistance, of scarcity. And so what I want to encourage you is this. By doing the internal work first, of discovering who you are, not the things that you do, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more later, and knowing that person deeply, knowing their unconditional worth, then to see your true desires, your sensitivities, your values in life, your purpose, and from there, you create goals for you that align with your purpose in life, align with your mission in life. The things that you are designed to be on this planet to create in life. When we start there, that's where we start creating authentic, true, intentional, lifelong, fulfilling change. So, if you catch yourself using language like should not, have to, need to in your goal setting, then I want to say, hit the pause button here. Hit the pause button. Because you have fallen into this trap of embarking on starting to chase after goals that are not authentic for you. And again, it's not that the goal itself, like what you're thinking is the end result, might not be authentic for you, but the reason why you're going after it is not authentic for you. And that, my friends, I've talked about this thousands of times in this podcast. Your reason why is the most important thing. Knowing your why is the most important thing in your journey in life. That is how we lead a fulfilling, intentional life, is knowing the why. And when you are doing this with should not, have to, need to language, you are not looking at your authentic why for why you're going after this goal. Which could mean either you're going after a goal that is not authentic for you, or you're going after a goal in a way that is resistant to seeing why you're going after it. And either way, it will lead to a lack of fulfillment. It will lead to a lack of sticking to the journey of the change, which is so important because it's not about the end goal here. And we're going to talk about that too. So when we go after goals in life, we want them to be our authentic goals and our authentic reason why, okay? Which brings me to pattern number 2. Pattern number 2 that I see here stemming out of this sort of formative part of our life where we create our beliefs about the world without realizing that we're doing it or being told that we're doing it. Pattern number 2, it kind of comes, it's sort of dismissing our goals, our true goals. So as a coach, I see this with a lot of people. When I'm asking them about what they want out of their life, they'll start off by listing goals that they feel obligated to go after, the non-authentic goals. They're not theirs. And usually what happens is we'll work through the illusions there. And we'll get to the other side of the illusions when they begin to see that they don't have to have these dreams and goals that they've believed that they've had to have for their whole entire life. And that they can choose their dreams and goals according to what is true for them. And when we get here, this is where I typically see this second pattern emerge. Now, it can emerge sooner, but usually this is where I see it show up, is that they are so accustomed to allowing other people's beliefs to define what they should want or have to want out of life, that when they begin exploring their own true desires, they become fearful and anxious and even judgmental of their true goals. This is such unfamiliar territory for them in their brain that their brain literally starts using one of its many powerful weapons to resist the change of the unfamiliar, which is doubt. Or it'll deploy criticism. So what I mean here is this. I see a lot of people that will start to see their true goals. And the moment that they speak them or begin to speak them out loud, they will jump into following up with sentences. Or even before they finish voicing their desire, they'll switch to these sentences of how their goal is stupid, or how it's bad, or selfish, or ridiculous, or I shouldn't want that, or I know that's dumb. I shouldn't be saying that. I'm so selfish. Or maybe how it's impossible or pointless to go after. There are so many ways that I hear people using doubt and criticism about their own dreams. And then they use this as a reason to stop exploring the true desire. And they go back to the familiar pattern of making changes according to what society or they think their parents will be proud of or their old pastor will be proud of or whatever. They go back into that pattern of inauthentic goal setting. So this is a pattern of self-doubt, and it is a killer of making changes in life. You will notice this pattern is a pattern of yours if every time you try to explore your dreams, you catch yourself wanting to limit what you are allowed to want in this life. And I get it. You're used to believing that if you want something and don't create it on your first attempt, that this means somehow you failed, that you're flawed, that you're weak, you're unable, you're not good enough, whatever. So many different words that we're taught to use. You may even use judgment of, I'm just trying to be realistic here with my dreams. Maybe that's what you're saying to yourself. And I want to be clear. I understand the logic here. I understand why it's so appealing. So I don't want you all to think I didn't struggle with this or don't still struggle with this. Trust me, these patterns still come up in my head. But the difference is that I recognize it as a pattern that I don't want to follow anymore. And this belief only works that you're somehow flawed, weak, broken, or not good enough, or that you're just trying to be realistic and so you're keeping your goals small, This belief system only works if you believe in the illusion that wanting something in life means that you should be able to create it the first time you take action towards it, or that means failure, and that you should give up. But what I want to say is, in the model of abundance here, the model of learning and growing, wanting is something so powerful and full of love and opportunity. You see, you can want something, and want something that in your current sense of reality seems so far away. And maybe in your current mindset, you can't find the logical steps toward this dream, but you can want it. And you can move forward towards changes that bring you closer to being able to see the steps to bring you to the larger dream or the purpose in your life. Wanting cannot harm you. And I know that a lot of you believe that it can, and you're scared of wanting. And I understand so much. There are so many belief systems that we carry around with us that make us fear our own wanting. We even fear that we're so flawed and such bad, evil people that our wanting is somehow flawed and evil. And the thing that I want to encourage you is that a lot of times, some of our wants on the surface can appear to be very selfish, very narcissistic. And the reason why is because we've been approaching life from a very narcissistic and self-centered behavior approach because we see our worth as being so conditional. But when we get past that model, then we can start to see where our desires, our true desires, while on the surface they might appear selfish, when we move into what they're really about. They're really about bringing abundance, love, compassion, acceptance, connection back into this world. But I understand a lot of you are afraid of wanting for many reasons. And a lot of you are afraid of wanting because you're afraid that wanting means that you have to be able to create that want and create it as quickly as possible, or that you're going to be hurting yourself somehow by wanting it. And what I want to say is this does not have to be true. What hurts is when we want something and we choose to reject ourselves for wanting it and not take action on that genuine want. That's what hurts. It has nothing to do with the outcome or the results. This is a lie and an illusion that we have all been convinced to believe that keeps us playing small. Remember the episode when I talked about discontentment? If you haven't listened to that episode, I suggest going back and listening to it. Because we believe in this dichotomous model of the world where discontentment or wanting more in life means that we're not grateful about life. And that we are not happy with anything that we have in our life. That we have to be either completely satisfied or completely dissatisfied. And this is where this fear comes from. But this fear to want something so big that you cannot quite see how you're going to get there and create it, it comes from the model of scarcity, the model of rejection and conditional worth. It comes from the idea that wanting something so big has to mean that you have to be completely unhappy with your life or disgusted with your life or yourself in order to create the energy to go after it. But then if you go after it and don't create it the first time, then guess what? We get sent back to this place in life where we're so disgusted with ourselves, so unhappy with ourselves, so judgmental of ourselves. Of course you will be afraid to want big things then, if this is the model of the world that you see your life through. But my friends, there's another way. There is another way. And it is the model of abundance and contrast. In this model, you get to see that the life you are currently in is full of so many things that you're grateful for and happy about and that you love about your life because you've created them. But this doesn't mean that you cannot want more. Wanting more does not diminish the gratefulness. In fact, it increases it. You love what is in your life so much and you're so grateful for it that you want to manifest more of it in this life and expand it into this life even more. This means that you are allowed to want limitlessly. And as you grow into your abundance mindset, you find ways to create more and more of this true desire in a way that aligns with your purpose in this life. Now, when we live from a model of scarcity and judgment, then as we create more, we believe we're taking it away from other people. We need to limit it in other places in order for us to have enough. But what I'm here to show you is that the things that you truly want in life are limitless. You can create as much of it as you want in this life because you're the one creating it. It's not something out there that there's a limited amount of that you need to grab a hold of and take before other people take it. This is the model of scarcity. And this is why so many of us approach change with this idea that we need to hurry up and get there. We need to hurry up and change. And if we don't, then we have to come back to this horrid life that's just so awful for us because we don't have anything in our life that we're supposed to be happy for. And so we go back and forth between this idea that we either have to be fully happy with our life or fully dissatisfied with our life. And what I'm here to show you is that through the model of abundance and contrast, we are both things at all times. And the things that we truly want in life are not finite things out there that are limited. What we are wanting to create is something that is limitless. And I can show you how to get to finding that thing so that you can show up in this world and continue to create it unstoppably. And it will manifest in various physical ways in your life. Maybe with money, maybe with relationships. All of that is a side effect of you creating the thing that you're truly wanting to create. But we've been taught to look at the side effects as being the result. That's the thing that we're wanting to create. And this is where this model of feeling stuck and afraid to want comes from. So when you're able to see through the lens of contrast and abundance, there's no fear in taking actions and not getting the result that you expected the first time, or even getting it quickly. Because the worst that can happen is that you end up right here where you are in your life, full of love and gratitude and excitement and curiosity to grow. That didn't work. Okay, what can I try differently next time? And I have this fire in me to love myself and have my back no matter what. I always have that to fall on. No matter how many times I try and don't get the results I want, all I do is I end up right here where I love the shit out of myself. Excuse my French, but I do. And that's the worst that can happen. So I'm not afraid of reaching out, stepping out, and trying to create changes, not getting the results I want the first time, not even getting it the 100th time I try. Doesn't matter. The worst that happens is I end up right here, and I love right here. And just because I love right here doesn't mean that I don't still want to grow, that I don't still want to explore the potential of creation that I know I have within me as a human being, and that's what I'm designed to be here for. I get to be both at all points in time, grateful and happy and excited to grow and change. And it's because I'm willing to see that I experience life through contrast. I'm willing to see that I am a complex emotional being. I'm not flat. I don't experience one emotion at a time. If I'm experiencing fear, I'm also able to experience courage and vice versa. If I am experiencing contentment, I'm also able to experience discontentment at the same time, and they help each other. But so often we come from this model that either life has to be not good enough, so we need to change, or it's perfect and we just stay as it is. And it leaves us no space to grow in a healthy, productive, supported, loving way. There's no way for you to be in the journey of learning and growing. The model that we approach growth with is this very fixed mindset. It's either one or the other. You're either good enough or you're not. If you're not good enough, you need to hurry up and change to be good enough. If you are good enough, you need to be satisfied and stay there. And what I want to offer you that is, it's not even about being good enough. That's not what change is about. Change is about that journey of being in the growing, of being curious, of finding out new truths about life, about finding what you're capable of, and stepping into our true desires, stepping through the fear of failure and the fear of uncertainty, and finding more of ourselves, finding more of what we're capable of, and more ways that we're able to have our back and love ourselves as we show up, do things, don't get the results we want, and then we're like, okay, well, I learned this, this, and this, so I'll try this differently next time. This is growth. This is change. So, my friends, if you catch yourself in this habit of diminishing your dreams or believing that you're not allowed to want certain things in life, then, my friend, you are in this cycle that I'm talking about. And what I want to say is it is 1000% healthy to dream so big that you blow your own damn mind. And it does not mean that you will be hurting yourself to try and create that dream. We are in this for the journey, not the destination. There is no destination in this life. It is a constant journey until the very last breath. And what happens next, we don't know. I'm sure the journey continues in another way. But that's irrelevant. We are in this life and we are designed to be in the journey. Stop trying to find a destination in your life to arrive at and just coast into comfort. It's not what this life is about. You were not designed as a human for that. All right, so let's move on. The third pattern that I see, I've got 6 to get through here today. So the third pattern that I see is people, and this goes back to these first two. These all kind of tie into each other here. But the third pattern is I see people wanting to use disgust, shame, guilt, self-rejection, not enoughness. The list goes on as their motivation to change. And I see this very frequently in people who are setting weight loss goals. But it doesn't stop with weight loss goals. This seems to be the most obvious one here. We have been shown through our society that we inspire change within ourselves by becoming so embarrassed with ourselves, so disgusted with ourselves, so ashamed of ourselves that it's too painful to stay the same, so we have to change. But here's what I want to say. Did you notice that? Have to change, need to change, should change. I shouldn't be this way. Remember what I said earlier in this episode. There's that language again. Which what this means, my friend, is that this is not an authentic goal for you. But here is what is interesting. Wanting to take better care of your body and the end result being loss of weight could be an authentic goal for you. But if you're doing it from the space of shame, resistance, to where you don't want to be where you are in your life right now because it's so painful for you, it's so disgusting for you, it's so embarrassing for you, that you need to hurry up and change, then the goal's authenticity gets lost in a quest for judgment, shame, and guilt, in which you are using these energies to try and force change. I have watched people attempt this over and over and over, no matter how many times I tell them, if you start with that energy, it's not going to take you where you want to go. They keep doing it, they keep doing it, they keep doing it, and they always end up right back where they started. Maybe with a different eating habit, maybe with a different drinking habit, maybe with a different destructive sleeping pattern, but they always end up right back where they are right now, judging themselves, hating themselves, disgusted with themselves, and feeling like I need to hurry up and change. I've watched people do this over and over and over again. Some of them last for months, a year, or even several years of resisting themselves to create behavioral changes to their physical body, or changes to their physical body. But I watch as slowly their relationship with themselves becomes so toxic, so full of judgment, so full of resentment, that they go right back to old behavior patterns. Sometimes they manifest slightly differently. I've seen people go from the toxic behavior pattern of binge eating constantly to the toxic behavior pattern of anorexia. But my friends, these two relationships with food are closer to being the same than you think, because they come from the same space. They manifest in very different ways, but the underlying cause of them is so similar, my friends. But as I said, this pattern doesn't stop just with weight loss. I see people using shame and guilt, etc., all these different ways to force themselves to change their jobs, to get a degree, to get married, to have children, to make a marriage work, to start a business. And just like with weight loss, when they approach with this energy of shame and guilt and I should do better, I'm not good enough yet, this destroys their relationship with themselves and begins to show up in so many toxic behavior patterns in their life that lead them right back to the old pattern of escaping their life by numbing out, becoming emotionally reactive and explosive in their life because they are so afraid to see what's actually going on. My friends, shame, guilt, disgust, judgment of ourselves has never and will never be an effective catalyst for real, authentic, intentional, lifelong fulfilling change. It never has been and never will be. You can keep trying it over and over again all you want, but I am here to swear on my own life. 1000% I will put my name on this promise. It will not produce the changes that you're wanting to see in your life. Resistance of the self will never produce changes that a person actually wants in their life. It may produce some external manifestations and results that look like something that you want. But then lean in a little bit, just past the surface, and you'll feel there that relationship with yourself hasn't changed. And that's actually what you wanted to change. So let's move on to the fourth pattern. The fourth pattern that I see people going about when it comes to changing, it really is destructive, non-helpful. It's not going to take you anywhere. And that's wanting to begin change at the behavioral level. Many times when people are changing out of resistance, disgust, or shame, their attempt to change will start at the behavioral level because that's where they think that they can produce the quickest amount of change. Like immediately trying to drop 80 pounds. Or immediately going out and starting running, or going to the gym regularly, or, throwing out all their food and changing up their diet. So what I mean by this is that the person goes about trying to change by simply not doing a certain behavior that they have identified as giving them an unwanted result in life, and instead doing a different behavior that they think will. And this is behaviors surrounding things such as eating, drinking, drugs, porn usage, television usage, social media usage, exercise habits or the lack of them, hygiene habits, sleeping habits, communication techniques, the words that they use, etc., cleaning habits when it comes to their surroundings. The list goes on and on and on about how people may try to change behaviors. So you may be asking, why is this a mistake? Because that's what you think you want, is to change the behavior. So how is it not effective for creating change that we're actually wanting in our life? Anytime you're wanting to make change to a behavior, the change does not start at the behavior. And the change that you're wanting, the behavior is actually just a result of that change. It's not actually the change you're looking for. The change you're looking for is at a deeper level. You see, the behavior you are observing that is not creating the results you want in your life. It's not because you're dumb. It's not because you're weak or broken, or because you chose the current behavior pattern at one point in time because you're dumb. It's not because of that. And this is where true change begins, is seeing this. It begins with seeing, where did this behavior pattern actually come from then? If it's not because I'm dumb or weak or broken or stupid or flawed or any of these things that I'm calling myself, where did this behavior pattern come from? Why is it here? Looking there, that is where change begins. It begins with the thoughts and beliefs that we have about life that created the current behavior pattern to begin with. If you find yourself wanting to create change in your life and you want to begin by just changing behavior that you are observing that is not giving you the result that you want, then I want you to push the pause button here. Don't rush this. You are looking to begin the journey of change here. It is a journey, not a destination. Remember that. And you wanting to rush to a behavioral change means that you believe that this behavioral change is the destination. Once I change that, my life will be good. It'll be great. It'll be what I want. The fulfillment of this change occurs in the journey, not in the destination. So hit the pause button here for a minute. And I want you to begin asking yourself some questions about the current behavior so we can get into the journey here, not the quest for a destination. So begin by asking yourself questions like this. Number one question, when did this behavior begin? What's the furthest back that I can remember this behavior beginning? Was there another pattern before this behavior pattern began that was kind of similar to this or gave me similar results? What was it and when was that? When did it begin? What else was going on in your life at the time that this behavior pattern began? What felt uncertain or dangerous about life to you then? What needs did you feel at that time in your life weren't being met? How did beginning this current behavior pattern meet some of those needs? Or how did you perceive that it met some of your needs? How did it help you feel safer or more certain about something in your life? Why did you believe these things about your life at the time? The things that felt unsafe, the things that felt like it was a need not being met. Begin by asking yourself questions like these. This is so important because it will help you begin to see that this current behavior pattern is not there to harm you. And it's not there because you're stupid for having it, or broken or flawed somehow for having it. No. This will help you begin to see that it is there for a reason. All behaviors we have are for a reason, and you solving for that reason is where the journey into change begins. It does not begin by trying to willpower your way into a new behavior, or shaming yourself for having an old behavior so much that you panic into resisting the old behavior and start a new one. No. Real change begins with understanding and compassion for the old or current behavior, and therefore removing conditions for your understanding and compassion for yourself. And from this place, you can begin to see an authentic path forward into a new belief about your life and the world that will stimulate new behavior patterns to arise naturally, not out of willpower or force or resistance. So, in order to enact fulfilling lifelong intentional change, the change doesn't start at the behavior. The behavior is a result of the actual change, which is in how you see the world, what you believe about the world, what thoughts and beliefs you're having. That's where change begins. Moving on to the fifth pattern. Fifth pattern is, and very close to the fourth, not being willing to openly explore history. Your story of your past, before taking action forward into what you're wanting to change. Like I said, this pattern ties very much into the previous one, but the motivation here is a little bit different. Where before the pattern was wanting to begin the change with behavior, here the resistance is in exploring the history, the story of the past, the story of where the behavior came from. And I know for many people wanting to change, they may feel shame about their past, or believe that if they look at it, they will have to judge themselves in a way that produces shame or guilt. And what I want to say is this does not have to be true. And in fact, I don't want it to be true for you. I never want you to look at your past and feel shame or guilt. I want you to look at your past and feel curiosity, openness, compassion, and then feel empowered as you dig through it with curiosity to find, why did you create this in your life? And if you were so powerful to create that, how can you create something different using that same power? I know for so many people wanting to change, they are ashamed of their past. I know that many of the modern views of our society suggest to us that the lens we view our past through is one of comparison and judgment. But the truth is that we can look at our past with compassion and understanding and look with curiosity of our past so that we can learn from it instead of resisting it and trying to get away from it. Remember in my earlier podcast episodes when I talked about toward energy, not away from energy? We never want to use our past story is simply there to learn. It is not where we get our energy for change. If we get our energy for change from the past, then what we're doing is running away from something. We are resisting something. And when we run away and resist something, there is not a direction that we are heading in. We're just trying to get away from a certain place that we don't understand. We use toward energy. We use looking at the future and what we want to create as a way to draw us in the direction that we want to go. The past is there for us to learn how we have created things so far in our life, so we can use that as a tool to create what we want to create differently. So when we look at our past, we're not looking at it to judge it. We are looking at it with curiosity and excitement, because we know within our past holds the key to our power to create. And therefore we can create whatever future we want to once we unlock and see that potential and see our recipe for change in creation. The other way that people might look at their past is that they believe that looking at their past doesn't serve a purpose at all. But here's the thing. When you dig a little bit deeper into this belief, with people who carry the belief that, oh, looking at my past doesn't serve a purpose, I just want to look forward. What I usually find is that if we scratch the surface there, this is a barrier. It's a wall that they've put up to hide their own shame of their past that they carry about with them. And they've convinced themselves to believe that looking at their past is pointless because they fear confronting that shame. But my friends here, it's the same. Either way, the resistance of exploring the history of your past, your story of your past, it's all about shame and guilt because you believe that you can only look at it with shame and guilt. And this will create an obstacle for you of creating real, fulfilling, authentic, lifelong, intentional change that you're wanting in your life. We don't dwell in the past. We used the past as our way of unlocking and seeing our way of creating things in this world. We learn our recipe, our own authentic recipe for success by looking at our past with curiosity and exploring it, not looking at it with judgment and shame and guilt. So, resisting to explore the past, this is the fifth most common obstacle that I see with people wanting to make changes in their life. And this brings me to the final pattern. And this is the one that ties all of this together. All of the reasons why these first 5 patterns exist come from this 6th pattern. And that's that seeing change as being about changing you versus it being about changing thoughts, beliefs, and therefore behaviors. So when people fall into this pattern, that when you begin change, that you are changing something about you, what this means is that all the change that you make or your attempt to change will be attached to your worth, your value, and your ability to create change. So literally, your value, your worth in this life becomes conditional on what you produce, on what you change, instead of seeing it as something that is already unchangeable and 1000%. Remember that when we make changes, although many of you start at the behavior level, usually what we're looking at is the result being a changed behavior. But remember, when we go about making changes the true way, the changed behavior begins by changing thoughts and beliefs, which begin by understanding ourselves and loving ourselves unconditionally and having enough compassion for ourselves about our experience as a human and how we arrived at the beliefs and thoughts that we currently have. None of these beginning steps of true change will occur if you believe that what you are changing is something about yourself. When you go about changing with the belief that you are changing yourself, then you start change with the belief that you are somehow flawed, that there's something wrong with you that needs to be changed for you to be good enough. And when you do this, you attach your value and your worth to the change, and you are unable to see yourself clearly. And therefore, you are unable to create authentic, fulfilling change because you are not letting yourself see yourself clearly. And you know how I know you're not letting yourself see yourself clearly? Because if you do not see yourself as being 1000% lovable and worthy and empowered and capable of change, then I know you're not seeing yourself because that's what we all are. That's what we all are at our core. When we go about wanting to change, the result will be a behavior. And to get to that result, we want to examine our current beliefs and thoughts about life so that we can see our power to create new ones. So change is about creating new thoughts and new beliefs about the world around us. This means that when we are creating change, we are not changing ourselves. There is nothing about you that is flawed that needs changed. It is the beliefs that you have accepted as being 100% true and unquestionable that were created in your formative years. Those are flawed and non-serving. And therefore we want to change them so that we can show up in our life with less conditions on ourselves and our worth. And show up with abundance and love and compassion and limitless ability to create. But what I see is so many people believing that they need to change and that something is wrong with them that needs to be changed. And this is the energy that they move into change with. And this is using guilt and shame and disgust as your motivating energy for change. And we've already discussed it will only create resistance to the self and will lead to internal rejection and mistrust and therefore suffering. No fulfilling change comes from this. No change that is authentic for us comes from this. When wanting to create authentic, lifelong, fulfilling, intentional change, it begins with self-acceptance and self-love. And I think that for many people, the concept of self-acceptance to them is scary because they think it means that they just have to keep doing things exactly as they're doing because they live in that model of either or, not the model of abundance and contrast. So it either has to be, my life is perfect just as it is, and I love myself, and so therefore I don't change anything in my life. I just have to, everything is good, and I'm happy, 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 happy. Or it's, oh my God, my life is disgusting. I hate myself. I can't stand this anymore. I have to change. I have to change. I have to change. We live in this dichotomous black or white relationship with ourselves. And my friends, what I want to say is that self-acceptance does not mean that we don't show up in the world as badasses able to create change in this life. It is because I fully accept myself that I am able to see my ability to show up and create in this life unstoppably, because nothing any of you all can do can change my worthiness to show up and do that. You can take away things from me. You can take away maybe some avenues that I have to create the change, to show up. But you can never take away from me my ability to create what I am here to create. It is impossible, and no one can do it to you either. But you will never see that if you don't first move into self-acceptance and self-love before you go about creating change in life. Because change is not about needing for you to be better. Change is about you being a human being, and that you are designed to be in this life to grow and learn and change and experiment and explore with curiosity and wonder and love and gratitude and contentment and discontentment all at the same time, to experience this life through the contrast of all of the emotions that come up all at once. That is what life is about. And being willing to step into that uncertainty of, I don't know what will be on the other side of this change, but I want to find out. And no matter what's on the other side of this change, the worst that can happen is I'm right here with myself, fully loved, fully accepted, fully able to learn from whatever I get on the other side of this result, and to show up again and create more. Change begins with self-acceptance. And what that means is seeing who you are, not as what you do or the results that you create in this life. Self-acceptance is seeing who you are at the core before you even showed up in this life, and seeing that that being is here in this journey, trying to make sense out of this life and arriving at thoughts and beliefs in order to make sense of this life. And that those thoughts and beliefs create results, and those are the results that you are experiencing right now because of that being showing up and being a badass and trying to figure out this life. And if it's not giving you the results you want, guess what? You figured out how to this point create those thoughts and beliefs, so create new ones. You're the badass that did that. And self-acceptance is about seeing that and then loving that being and offering that understanding and compassion to that being for being in that journey and being willing to show up in this life as a human being and learn and experience life through the contrast, through the uncertainty, through the fear, through the not knowing. Seeing that being as being unconditionally worthy of love, understanding, compassion, and therefore self-acceptance. And from this space, we can see our beliefs, we can see our thoughts, and we can see our behaviors so clearly, without the judgment, without the guilt, without the shame. And we see how we arrived at them and the power that we had in creating them. And that, my friends, is the empowered moment where you unlock your ability to become unstoppable in making any change in your life. Not to make you better, but because you are human and you are here in this life to experience this life and learn and grow through that experience, not to hide and stay small and seek comfort and numb away this life until it's over. That's not what you're here for. You are here to experience this life and grow and learn in it because that's what we are designed for as humans. We are designed to constantly seek with curiosity and excitement what we are capable of co-creating in this life with the universe. But it starts with self-acceptance. That is how we create change, my friends. We start with self-acceptance. We start there and we explore. We explore what's going on in my life right now. What are the results that I'm creating? Why do I not want them? What is the deeper desire there? What is it that I truly want in this life? What is important to me? It's there in your story of your past, my friends. It's in that story. Explore it with love and curiosity and openness. We start there. We learn our power. We learn how we've created where we are in this life so powerfully without paying attention. And if we did that without paying attention, imagine what you can do with that power when you put intention and awareness behind it. You are a badass being, my friends. All of you are. People always talk about change being so hard. The truth is that it isn't. Change is actually a very loving, deeply fulfilling process of trust and growth that we choose to step into as humans because that's what we're designed for. It feels hard because of the ways that we've been taught to go about trying to change and the perspectives that we have been taught to have about what change is and why we do it. But real, fulfilling, authentic, lifelong change with intention and awareness, it is a beautiful journey of uncovering your unconditional worth, uncovering your potential of using that to co-create with the universe in life. Change only feels hard, but remember where feelings come from. Feelings come from our thoughts and our beliefs about this life and the world. So change does not have to be hard, my friends. And that's what I want you to take from today. I want you to feel empowered about change. Change is not about this resistant, self-judgment, disgusted, shameful feeling. It is about a loving and beautiful journey of uncovering yourself and discovering yourself and growing closer to yourself and therefore everyone around you. Because as we truly uncover our true selves, we start to see everyone else more clearly. And the struggles that they're going through in life, the things that they're facing in life, the obstacles that they're having in the way of them seeing their true selves and loving themselves fully. We see those more clearly, and therefore we see each other in our humanness more clearly. So yeah, change only feels hard, my friends. But I'm here to show you that there is a way into change that is so beautifully empowering and full of love, full of compassion, full of fulfillment, full of joy. Change, the process of change can be joyful. My friends, I'm here to guide you into that as a coach. So, here we are. Here we are at the end of 2021, guys. We made it through another year in this life, and as we end 2021, and many of you are feeling that pull to show up in your life and unlock your potential, the one that you feel inside of you that maybe you're afraid to feel, but I'm asking you, lean in, look, trust yourself to feel that potential, and trust yourself that you can create with it. You may have approached change differently in the past that hurt, felt painful, felt scary, but that's only a feeling, and it comes from your thoughts and beliefs about change. And I want to show you there is a way that we can do this differently that feels full of love and empowerment and presence. I want you to let yourself lean into that potential this time. I want you to start 2022 with a process of what real change is. I want you to break the cycles of abusive changes based in conditional self-worth. I want you to break the cycles of ignoring the desire to create change in your life because of the fears you have created around the idea of change that are based in this model that change has to come from disgust, guilt, resistance, shame, and conditional worth. I want you to step into 2022 with a new cycle of change. One that starts with what true self-acceptance is about. And the willingness to move into the process of knowing your true self so deeply that you want to show up as the badass that you are in this life and co-create with the universe. And that you know you can do it unstoppably with love, compassion, abundance, excitement, curiosity, and joy. I know it sounds like something I might be making up, but I promise you that it is real. I've seen it happen in so many people's lives. I see it happening in my life. This is how real change works. So I'm here. Let me help you find your authentic path into that real, authentic, fulfilling, lifelong, intentional change. All of the ways that you can contact me are in the show notes. I am here to support and guide my friends. And I offer a free discovery call to anyone who is interested in working with me on this, okay? So it's free, no obligation. You can follow the link to my website in the show notes. And on my website, there is a link to book a discovery call. 1,000% free, no obligation for you to coach with me. It's simply a way for you to discuss with me what it is that you're struggling with in your life right now. And for us to figure out, is my coaching a good fit for you? How would it provide value in your life for you? How can I be there for you to support you and help you to find your unstoppableness? 2022 does not need to be some reheated, revamped version of the previous years of your life. I promise you that you have the power in you to create some amazing things in your life, my friends. And I'm here to show you that. All right? That's all I have for you all today. I wish you all a absolutely effing fantastic New Year's Eve, and I wish you all a wonderful rest of the week with a peaceful, loving period of reflection and an excited, curious, joyful period of creation as 2022 begins. Have an empowered journey into the beginning of 2022, my friends. All right? And until I talk with you all again here next week, ciao. Hey, thank you for listening in this week. I hope you enjoyed the content of this episode. If you did, please subscribe or follow this podcast to receive the newest episodes every week as I bring them to you here on the Connect Your Health to Life coaching channel. Ratings, reviews, and comments are always appreciated. These allow me to know more of what my listeners would like in the podcast and allow for more people who may be searching for a podcast just like this one to find the Connect Your Health to Life coaching channel. If you would like more information about me and the work that I do with my clients one-on-one, then please visit my website at www.slch.ch. Again, that is www.slch.ch. You can also find me on social media on Instagram at SethLusk_coaching. Again, that is SethLusk_coaching. And on Facebook in my free Facebook group community called A Healthy Life Connection. We would love to have you in the group, and it's only 3 membership questions that you have to answer to join. And again, it's entirely free. And if you need any further information or just want to say hello, feel free to send me an email directly at slusk.health@slch.ch. Again, that is slusk.health@slch.ch. Thank you again so much for listening, and I look forward to our next time together. Ciao.